3.
Hi, I'm Cary Unkelbach. I'm the author of Heartbreak Kennel, the true story of Max and his breeder. Heartbreak Kennel is a finalist in the biography category for a Colorado Authors League award. Dodi Carrizo grew up in an upper middle class family. She became a successful and well-respected potter. And then she started breeding dogs. She bred Max and sold him as a wee puppy to a man who decided years later that he could no longer take care of an adult dog. Dodi's and Max's stories are inextricably intertwined, but told in separate chapters. Dodi's adult life journey is unconventional, often bizarre, and sometimes downright shocking. Max's is uplifting and often comical as he burrows his way into the hearts of his adopted family. Now I'm going to read a few passages from the first chapter of Heartbreak Kennel. She heard human voices for the first time in more than 2 days. Her rail-thin body crowded 9 infant chocolate puppies, all soaking wet from a sea of excrement inside an airline crate positioned within a horse trailer. Other dogs barked nearby. The unfamiliar voices drew closer to the Labrador mother. 50 miles to the south, Vicki Weeks picked up the telephone in the Denver home that she shared with her husband. "Hi, it's me. I'm in Missouri," came the familiar voice of her sister-in-law, Dodi Carrizo. "Why are you in Missouri?" "I couldn't take it anymore, so I left. I fed and watered them, and I left. I left a note for Carl to call the Humane Society. I can't deal with it. The dogs are tying me down. I'm Jessie McClure now." "I'm gone," Dodi said. "Well, just wanted to call and let you know that I was fine," the cheerful voice said. "Goodbye." Vicki relayed the conversation to her husband, James Wilson. The couple realized Dodi intended to stay in Missouri. They knew that James's son had helped move her Labrador retrievers to a new location, but didn't know where or how many dogs she had. The canines would be in crates. Meteorologists predicted temperatures in the high 80s for that Saturday. They needed to find the Labradors to feed and water them. After that, they weren't sure what they'd do. James called his son to learn the dog's whereabouts and arranged to meet him. They drive together to the canine's location in northern Colorado. Rigo Neira looked forward to watching a movie inside an air-conditioned theater to find relief from the heat on that Saturday, July 3rd, 2004. His cell phone rang at about 12:30 p.m. He listened to a coworker from the Larimer County Humane Society explain that a man called about 8:50 a.m. to report his new tenant had skipped and left behind about 20 Labradors. The man said he'd try to find homes for the dogs and bring the remainder to the Humane Society in Fort Collins. After checking on the animals again, he called back with a revised estimate of the number of dogs, 60 to 80. As the Humane Society's Director of Animal Protection and Field Services, Neira knew about the sad fact of abandoned dogs, and no wonder. Each year about 3.3 million dogs land in shelters. A fifth of these are strays that reunite with their owners. But for the remainder, more than 2.6 million dogs, it's either adoption or for many death. Neira realized that the Labrador's location needed to be preserved as a crime scene because they'd probably been abandoned. That meant the dogs couldn't be removed from the property until the staff documented their health and living conditions. He instructed his co-worker, Dave Janney, to call back the man and tell him the Humane Society workers would come to his property to coordinate the animal's treatment and care, and to instruct him not to give away any more canines. He'd meet Janney at the shelter, where other employees would assemble to form a response team. And later in the chapter, "My husband Dave and I listened to a story about dozens of abandoned dogs on that night's television news. I recognized the name of the suspect, Dodi Carrizo. Horrified, I knelt down and hugged our 3 Labradors, Molly, daughter Brew, and granddaughter Taz. We all still missed Max, our beloved adopted Labrador that had passed over the Rainbow Bridge the year prior. His breeder's name? Dodi Carrizo. How could this woman who committed these atrocities have bred such a terrific dog as Max? I'd grown up in a family who raised and showed Labradors and couldn't fathom the horrific abuse inflicted on this gentle breed. As a dog lover, I wanted to know so much more than what the media reported. Who was this woman?" Several years later, these nagging questions in Max's memory led me on my years-long odyssey to find answers. I expected to uncover an uneducated woman who sold puppies from her backwoods home Instead, I discovered a witty, successful businesswoman who bred dogs and sold puppies to the public. This college-educated woman instilled trust and loyalty in many puppy buyers, portraying herself as a reputable dog breeder while outwitting the authorities for years. How could her loyal friends and family have no clue about her deception? My years-long investigation reveals that what led Dodie, whose own life ended tragically and bizarrely, to transition from dog lover to abuser. The story imparts a warning. Pet buyers beware, and represent a microcosm of the larger world of animal abuse and disreputable breeders who may come across as an upstanding neighbor, friend, or even relative. It teaches how to recognize the often overlooked signs of animal neglect and ways to intervene to avoid heartbreak and tragedy for man's best friend. Max was very fortunate that his first owner whisked him away from Dodie's kennel at just 5+ weeks. Otherwise, he might have suffered years of neglect at his breeder's hands. Instead, his often comical, upbeat journey contrasted sharply with those of many of Dodie's dogs and millions of other canines, mixed breeds and purebreds alike, that land in shelters through no fault of their own. Like many responsible owners, we'd given Max what canines need, jobs that he mostly loved, such as a hiking companion or puppy sitter, because they gave him a purpose. He, in turn, gave us unconditional love and affection. Heartbreak Kennel is available most anywhere that books are sold. You can also buy a copy of an autographed book from my website, www.caryunkelbach.com. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Colorado Authors League, for supporting authors.